Throughout history, humanity has buried its past beneath layers of earth, sand, ice, and time. Cities collapsed, civilizations vanished, and knowledge faded into legend. Archaeology was supposed to give us answers, a way to reconstruct who we were and how we lived. But some discoveries do the opposite. They raise questions instead of resolving them. They challenge timelines, technologies, and assumptions about what ancient humans were capable of. These findings don't fit neatly into history books. They resist explanation, surviving decades of study without consensus. From impossible engineering feats to artifacts that appear thousands of years ahead of their time, these discoveries force us to confront a troubling possibility. Human history may be far more complex, and far older, than we think. What follows are 5 archaeological discoveries that remain unexplained, even after years of scientific investigation. Long before cities, long before writing, long before the wheel, a group of people climbed a limestone ridge in what is now southeastern Turkey and began building something no one thought possible for their time. For thousands of years, Göbekli Tepe lay hidden beneath a man-made hill, its secrets buried so completely that local farmers believed the mound was nothing more than a natural rise in the land. Stone fragments occasionally surfaced after plowing, but nothing hinted at what lay underneath. That changed in 1994, when German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt arrived at the site. The moment he examined the exposed stones, he knew they were not ordinary. They were shaped, carved, deliberate. What he would soon uncover would force historians to rethink the very origins of civilization. As excavation progressed, enormous T-shaped limestone pillars emerged from the soil. Some stood over 18 feet tall and weighed up to 20 tons. They were arranged in perfectly circular enclosures, with 2 massive pillars standing at the center of each ring, surrounded by smaller stones. The carvings etched into these pillars were unlike anything seen from that era. Foxes, boars, snakes, lions, vultures, and scorpions appeared in high relief, their forms sharp and intentional. These were not crude decorations. They showed skill, planning, and symbolic meaning. Many archaeologists believe the animals represent mythological figures, spiritual guardians, or cosmic forces tied to death and rebirth. What made this discovery truly shocking was its age. Carbon dating placed Göbekli Tepe at around 9,600 BC, more than 11,600 years ago. This was a time when humans were believed to live in small, nomadic groups, hunting animals and gathering wild plants. According to accepted history, such societies lacked the organization, labor force, and motivation to construct monumental architecture. Yet Göbekli Tepe told a different story. There were no houses nearby, no evidence of farming, no permanent settlement. The people who built this place did not live here, they gathered here. This suggested something revolutionary. Large groups of hunter-gatherers were capable of complex social organization long before agriculture existed. Even more puzzling was the precision of the construction. The pillars were quarried from bedrock nearby, shaped using stone tools and transported uphill, a task that would have required hundreds of people working in coordination. The circular enclosures were carefully aligned, suggesting an understanding of geometry and spatial planning. Then came the greatest mystery of all. After centuries of use, Göbekli Tepe was deliberately buried. The builders filled the enclosures with rubble, animal bones, tools, and soil, carefully packing everything until the structures disappeared completely beneath the earth. This was not abandonment. It was intentional preservation. Why would a society capable of such effort choose to erase its greatest creation? Some archaeologists believe the burial marked the end of an era, a ritual closure as social structures changed and agriculture emerged. Others suggest environmental shifts or cultural transformation made the site obsolete. There are also theories that the burial was meant to protect the sacred space, sealing it away for future generations. Whatever the reason, the act of burial ensured that Göbekli Tepe would survive almost untouched for millennia. Its discovery has rewritten history textbooks. It suggests that organized religion may have come before organized society, that spiritual belief could have driven humans to gather, cooperate, and eventually settle down. In this view, temples did not arise because civilization existed. Civilization arose because humans first built temples. Göbekli Tepe remains only partially excavated. Geophysical surveys indicate that many more stone circles still lie beneath the hill, waiting to be uncovered. Each one may hold new carvings, new symbols, and new clues to a chapter of human history we barely understand. What is clear is this: Göbekli Tepe should not exist according to everything we thought we knew about the ancient world. And yet, there it stands, silent proof that humanity's story began far earlier and far more mysteriously than we ever imagined. At the dawn of the 20th century, a group of Greek sponge divers took shelter from a storm near the small island of Antikythera, nestled between Crete and mainland Greece. As they waited for the seas to calm, they decided to dive the surrounding waters, unaware that they were about to recover one of the most baffling objects ever pulled from the ancient world. Beneath the waves lay the remains of a Roman shipwreck, dating to around 60 BCE. The seabed was littered with statues, amphorae, jewelry, and luxury goods, the cargo of a wealthy vessel traveling from the Greek world to Rome. Among the treasures was a small, heavily corroded lump of bronze and wood. It was catalogued without much interest and stored away, overshadowed by marble statues and glittering artifacts. For decades the object remained largely ignored. Then, in 1951, historian of science Derek de Sala Price examined the fragment using X-ray imaging. What appeared on the scan stunned researchers. Inside the corroded mass was an intricate system of precision-cut bronze gears, interlocked in a way no one believed ancient people were capable of producing. The artifact became known as the Antikythera Mechanism. As further fragments were studied, a clearer picture emerged. The device contained at least 30 gears, some smaller than a coin, cut with astonishing accuracy. These gears were not decorative, they were functional, forming a complex mechanical system designed to track celestial cycles. When reconstructed digitally, the mechanism revealed its true purpose. It could predict solar and lunar eclipses, track the phases of the moon, calculate the movements of known planets, and even determine the dates of major athletic events like the Olympic Games. The device modeled the irregular motion of the moon using a system of differential gearing, a technology thought to have been invented in Europe more than a millennium later. This discovery shattered long-held assumptions about ancient technology. At the time the Antikythera Mechanism was built, no other known culture had produced anything remotely comparable. Clockwork mechanisms of similar complexity would not reappear until the medieval period, and nothing like it existed again until the rise of mechanical astronomy in the Renaissance. Even more unsettling was the realization that the inscriptions engraved on the device referenced astronomical cycles that modern scientists had only recently rediscovered. The mechanism encoded centuries of astronomical observation into a handheld machine, a portable universe of brass and mathematics. And yet, there are no surviving texts explaining how it was built. No manuals. No workshop remains. No other devices like it. It appears suddenly in the archaeological record, fully developed, and then vanishes. Some scholars believe the Antikythera Mechanism was the product of a brilliant individual or a small group of elite engineers working in secrecy. Others argue it represents a lost scientific tradition rooted in Hellenistic Greece, possibly connected to scholars like Archimedes or Hipparchus, minds whose writings hint at advanced mechanical knowledge now mostly lost. The shipwreck itself raises further questions. Why was such a revolutionary device being transported? Was it a teaching tool, a navigational aid, or a prestige object meant to display knowledge of the cosmos? We may never know. What is certain is that the Antikythera Mechanism forces historians to confront a deeply unsettling truth. Ancient science was far more advanced than the surviving record suggests. The device is not an anomaly because it existed. It is an anomaly because it survived at all. If one such machine existed, how many others were built? How much knowledge was lost to fires, wars, and the slow decay of time? The Antikythera Mechanism stands as a silent reminder that history does not always move forward in a straight line. Sometimes, entire branches of human knowledge disappear, leaving behind only a single corroded fragment to hint at what once was. A machine that should not exist, built by a world we are only beginning to understand. Far out in the Pacific Ocean, more than 2,000 miles from the nearest continent, lies one of the most isolated inhabited places on Earth. Easter Island, known to its original inhabitants as Rapa Nui. Windswept, treeless, and surrounded by endless water, the island feels detached from the rest of the world, a place where secrets could easily remain hidden. Scattered across this remote landscape stand nearly 1,000 massive stone statues, the Moai, carved from volcanic rock. Some rise over 30 feet tall and weigh more than 80 tons. Their elongated faces stare silently inland, as if watching over something long gone. When European explorers arrived in the 18th century, they were baffled. The local population was small. There were no large forests, no beasts of burden, no metal tools, and no written records explaining how such enormous statues had been created or transported. According to conventional understanding, the island lacked the resources needed for such monumental work. The mystery deepened when archaeologists identified the quarry where most of the Moai were carved. It lay miles away from their final positions, across uneven terrain dotted with hills and rocky ground. Some statues were found abandoned along ancient paths, as if frozen mid-journey. Others lay face down, unfinished, their features only partially carved, suggesting a sudden halt in production. For centuries, researchers debated how the Moai were moved. Early theories proposed wooden rollers or sleds, but the island's deforestation complicated this explanation. Over time, a compelling alternative emerged from oral traditions passed down by the Rapa Nui people. The statues were said to have walked across the island. This claim was dismissed as myth until modern experiments demonstrated that upright statues could indeed be moved by coordinated teams pulling ropes from side to side, causing the stone figures to rock forward step by step. The Moai did not slide or roll, they advanced, slowly, upright as if alive. Yet even this explanation leaves questions unanswered. Many Moai were later found buried up to their necks in soil. For years they were believed to be just heads. Excavations revealed something astonishing. Full bodies lay beneath the ground, complete with carved torsos, hands resting against their sides and mysterious symbols etched into their backs. The burial was gradual, caused by soil erosion over centuries, not intentional concealment. Another mystery surrounds the red stone hats, known as pukeo, placed atop some statues. These cylindrical blocks weighed several tons and were carved from a different quarry altogether. How they were lifted and balanced onto the Moai's heads remains uncertain. Even more puzzling is why the Moai were eventually toppled. Many statues were deliberately knocked over, their faces smashed against the ground. Oral histories speak of internal conflict, famine, and societal collapse. As resources dwindled, the spiritual system that once justified the statues may have fractured, turning sacred guardians into symbols of a broken past. Some archaeologists believe the Moai represented revered ancestors, embodying spiritual power known as mana. Positioned facing inland, they were thought to protect villages and ensure prosperity. When the society collapsed, so too did belief in the statue's power. Today the Moai remain both a triumph and a warning. They demonstrate what a small, isolated population could achieve through cooperation, belief, and ingenuity, and what can happen when balance between people, resources, and environment is lost. Standing alone against the sky, weathered by centuries of wind and rain, the Moai continue to guard their island in silence. They offer no answers, only questions, about how they were built, why they were abandoned, and what knowledge disappeared along with the civilization that raised them. Easter Island remains one of archaeology's most haunting enigmas, a place where stone giants still watch over a story the world has yet to fully understand. In the arid desert plains of southern Peru, where rain is so rare that footprints can last for centuries, something enormous lies etched into the earth, so vast that it remained largely invisible for nearly 2,000 years. The Nazca Lines stretch across hundreds of square kilometers, forming giant geometric shapes, animals, plants, and humanoid figures. There are hummingbirds longer than a football field, spiders the size of houses, monkeys with curling tails, endless straight lines running perfectly across hills and valleys without deviation. From ground level, they are almost impossible to recognize. The mystery only became clear in the 1920s, when pilots flying over the desert noticed strange patterns below. From the air, the shapes suddenly made sense. Precision designs meant to be seen from above, created by a civilization that had no known means of flight. The Nazca people, who lived in the region between 200 BCE and 600 CE, created the lines by removing the dark, oxidized stones on the surface of the desert, revealing the lighter soil beneath. The climate preserved the designs with almost no erosion. What remains unexplained is why they were made. Some lines stretch for miles in perfect straightness, crossing rugged terrain as if hills did not exist. Others converge at specific points, suggesting ritual pathways. Many of the animal figures are associated with water, fertility, or the sky, a critical concern in one of the driest places on Earth. Archaeologist Maria Reich devoted her life to studying the lines, mapping them on foot under the desert sun. She believed they formed a giant astronomical calendar, aligned with solstices, star risings, and celestial events. Later research suggested some lines may point toward underground water sources, sacred mountains, or ritual centers. But the question remains, how did the Nazca design something they could not see from the ground? There is no evidence of towers tall enough to view the figures, no written plans, no surviving explanations. And yet, the proportions are accurate, the curves smooth, and the angles precise. The Nazca lines are not random scratches. They are deliberate, planned, and deeply symbolic. Even today, as drones and satellites map the desert in greater detail, new figures continue to emerge, hidden in plain sight for centuries. The desert still holds messages drawn by a vanished culture, messages that only the sky can fully read. In 1938, while excavating near the ancient city of Ctesiphon in modern-day Iraq, archaeologists uncovered a small, unremarkable clay jar buried among ordinary household artifacts. It looked insignificant, just another vessel from antiquity. But inside the jar was something no one expected. A copper cylinder. An iron rod. Traces of acidic residue. When German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig examined the object, he realized the components closely resembled a simple galvanic battery, the kind used to produce electricity. The artifact, later called the Baghdad Battery, dates back to roughly 200 BCE to 200 CE, during the Parthian or early Sasanian period. When reconstructed and filled with an acidic liquid like vinegar or wine, it produces a small but measurable electric charge. This discovery raised a startling question. Did ancient people understand and use electricity? No ancient texts mention batteries. No wires or electrical devices have been found nearby. Yet experiments repeatedly show that the object works exactly as a primitive power source. One theory suggests the battery was used for electroplating, coating objects with thin layers of precious metals like gold or silver. Ancient artifacts with unusually even metal coatings support this idea, though definitive proof remains elusive. Another theory proposes ritual or medicinal use, where the mild electric shock may have been perceived as mystical or healing. Electricity, after all, would have seemed like magic to the ancient world. Skeptics argue the object may have had a different purpose entirely, perhaps for storing scrolls or sacred materials, and that the electrical effect was accidental. But the alignment of materials is difficult to dismiss as coincidence. The Baghdad Battery sits at the intersection of possibility and uncertainty. It suggests that ancient knowledge may have extended into areas we assume are strictly modern, only to be lost, forgotten, or never recorded. Like many unexplained discoveries, it does not rewrite history outright, but it leaves a crack in the foundation, reminding us that the ancient world may have understood far more than we are willing to admit. Each of these discoveries stands as a challenge to what we think we know about human history. They suggest forgotten knowledge, lost civilizations, and capabilities that defy traditional timelines. Archaeology was meant to give us certainty. Instead, it often gives us mystery. Beneath our feet, hidden in oceans, buried under jungles and deserts, the past waits, not to be remembered but to be questioned. History is not finished being written. and some of its most unsettling chapters are only just beginning to surface.